It's been tough to find a great weapon to pair with Solar 3.0 builds as clear-cut as Funnel Web was to Void 3.0. That is, until now. I managed to craft an absolute god roll weapon for PvE whilst chasing for Ostringer and Beloved, which, screw you RNG, I'm still chasing by the way. In the background footage you can see I'm using it with barely any synergy from the subclass itself on a Hunter here, and it's already blowing everything up, creating tons of solar wells and allowing me to spread Scorch and get my abilities back super quick. I can only imagine how good your builds are going to be once you integrate this weapon into a proper Warlock or Titan build. It's going to be absolutely insane. The gun I'm talking about here is Drang, and you'll definitely want the crafted version here. There's two reasons why Drang is absolutely ridiculous for solar builds. One is its access to certain craftable perks, which I'm going to talk about, and the second is a serendipitous interaction with one of the seasonal mods. I don't know if it's intentional, but this interaction specifically makes the gun overpowered. Now the key perk here on Drang that allows me to synergize with Solar 3.0 is Enhanced Incandescent. Incandescent, for those of you that don't know, spreads Scorch to those nearby when defeating a target. Now, at the crux of every Solar 3.0 build is Scorch, which is a damage over time burn effect, and Ignite, which is an explosion triggered by certain abilities, and when you build enough stacks of Scorch. Now, generally speaking, igniting an enemy will spread Scorch, however at the moment it's very difficult on trash mobs to stack enough stacks of Scorch to trigger Ignite. So for a lot of solar weapons, it's actually quite hard to spread Scorch. That's where Incandescent comes in. A lot of the initial explosions that you can see in the video are just the Incandescent perk proccing, rather than an Ignite. What does happen, however, is sometimes in a larger pack of enemies, enough enemies get Scorch passed on to them that sometimes naturally an Ignite explosion does occur. Enhanced Incandescent is even better, as it applies a longer lasting Scorch when defeating enemies. It doesn't give a useless +5 stat like a lot of other enhanced perks. Now I know a lot of you will be looking at the Calus mini tool as your go-to weapon for Solar 3.0 builds. It's also craftable, it can also roll with Incandescent, so why would I choose Drang over it? Well, that's where the second perk comes in. Drang has access to Enhanced Wellspring, which upon defeating enemies gives you your ability energy back. Enhanced Wellspring is even better as it refunds more ability energy. Now in my opinion, that same column for the Calus mini tool doesn't have a perk anywhere near as good. Grave Robber requires melee kills to trigger ammo return, which if I want to spam my primary and keep a bit of distance, takes me out of that. And then Unrelenting is okay, but with mods I'm going to talk about later, you'll have enough healing and restoration with most Solar 3.0 builds anyways. The second reason why Drang is better is that the seasonal mod Flame Harvesting for some reason works with Drang. It's supposed to generate solar elemental wells with solar exotic final blows, but it works with Drang. Now, from testing, this procs way more often than a mod like Elemental Armaments, but even better is that it stacks with Elemental Armaments. So what I ran was Drang, Flame Harvesting, Elemental Armaments, and then Bountiful Wells so that I was generating 2 wells every 2 to 3 kills. Sometimes I'd generate 4 wells from a single kill when both of those mods would stack. In my testing, Calus mini tool did not work with Flame Harvesting. Now, why are these elemental wells important? Well, first of all, they provide ability regeneration, and if you pick up 4, 5, or 6 wells, you practically get refunded your entire ability back. This is not even considering any new fragments from Solar 3.0 which can synergize with this, and then obviously you have the Enhanced Wellspring perk which I was talking about earlier. Most Solar 3.0 builds focus on ability spam, so this just improves that a step further, and can be incorporated so easily into a Warlock Solar Grenade build or something like a Titan Hammer build. This gun really lets you have a hybrid build between good gunplay and ability spam without losing ability regeneration. Now, other common mods that I recommend using are things like Font of Might, which will provide a 25% damage buff to solar weapons whenever we pick up a solar well, so this increases Drang's damage even more. Well of Life is also a key mod I recommend using, which when you pick up a solar well gives you a steady regeneration which lasts for 11 seconds every time you pick up a well. Now, I know a lot of you will say with Flame Harvesting you can't run classy restoration. Honestly, for most content, Well of Life is sufficient. Well of Life, 10 resilience, and constant solar wells will keep you alive. But if you do want to run classy restoration for some more difficult content, then with this Drang, I'd recommend running 2 copies of elemental armament to increase the chance of spawning solar wells. The final mod I recommend pairing with this gun is Explosive Wellmaker. As I said, Ignite does proc with some packs of enemies that are large enough, so Explosive Wellmaker can proc from Ignite. And with Bountiful Wells, this was also generating 2 solar wells on top. Honestly, you'll never run out of healing with Well of Life, you'll never run out of a damage buff through Font of Might or Radiant, and then you'll never run out of ability spam through the rest of it. Drang is absolutely ridiculous, guys. Remember to stick on full auto, unless you want arthritis, put on a reload masterwork to make it feel even more spammy, and then enjoy using this weapon for all your Solar 3.0 builds. If you found what I talked about today remotely useful at all, remember to like the video, that helps me out a ton, guys. And then subscribe to the channel for more Destiny content. I'm Mr. Ronnet, and that's it for today. Peace out, guys.